Avengers Endgame was the end of the Infinity Saga, but it's also the start of a new chapter in the MCU. While we're not sure when Black Panther 2 will be coming out, we think the highly anticipated sequel will be a film that sets the stage for a new age in the MCU, and will lead to new amazing stories. We're going to talk about how Endgame affects Black Panther 2, and how it connects to Namor, Doctor Doom, and Storm. We got a whole lot to cover in this one. 2018's Black Panther was a huge success, so it's pretty obvious that we won't have to wait too long for a sequel, and we're sure that Black Panther is going to play a massive role in the MCU moving forward, possibly even becoming the new leader of the Avengers. One important thing to remember about Black Panther 2 is the 5-year time jump in Avengers Endgame. Both T'Challa and Shuri had been dusted during the decimation, meaning that Wakanda lost its king and potential queen. Well, the snap has been reversed. 5 whole years had passed since then, and that's a long time to be gone, especially for the king of Wakanda. The first Black Panther movie made it clear that the people of Wakanda don't wait too long before crowning a new king. T'Challa ascended to the throne about a week after T'Chaka's death in Civil War, and we don't think that the people of Wakanda are willing to wait 5 years before choosing a new ruler. It's possible that either Okoye or Ramonda ruled Wakanda in T'Challa's absence, and upon his return to life, he'll simply get the throne back. But we think that if things play out this way, a lot of drama would go to waste. While we as fans knew that the decimation would be undone, people in the fictional world of the MCU had to accept the terrible reality that the snap was permanent. So it'll make sense if the people of Wakanda moved on and chose a new king. We think it'll be interesting if M'Baku became the new king of Wakanda during the 5-year jump. While M'Baku is T'Challa's ally in the movies, he's actually one of his biggest adversaries in the comics. M'Baku is known as Man-Ape. He despises vibranium, and he's obsessed with getting rid of any form of technology in Wakanda. So if M'Baku does end up being king, he might take some drastic actions to achieve his vision for Wakanda. We think it'll be fascinating to see T'Challa and M'Baku clash over opposing ideals and beliefs for what's best for Wakanda and its people. Regardless of who was king in T'Challa's absence, we hope that Marvel Studios won't just sweep the whole 5-year time jump under the rug. There is too much potential here to just throw it away, and there must be everlasting consequences due to the events of Infinity War and Endgame. Eric Killmonger has set a pretty high bar as far as villains go, and we hope that Black Panther 2 won't disappoint us with its antagonist. The thing is, Black Panther's rogues gallery isn't as extensive as some other heroes, and his biggest adversaries are Man-Ape, who we already talked about, as well as Killmonger and Ulysses Claw, and both of them are dead now. But we think that Avengers Endgame has already hinted at who will be Black Panther 2's villain, and that is the King of Atlantis, Namor the Sub-Mariner. During a meeting with Black Widow in Endgame, Okoye mentions that there was an earthquake under the African plate. Avengers Endgame was a massive movie with a whole lot going on, and one has to wonder why Okoye would mention the earthquake if not to tease Namor. We don't think that hint was accidental, since we're sure that at this point Marvel Studios doesn't just throw hints around like these just for fun. Now, of course, we have to bring this up. Yes, Namor and Aquaman can feel like identical heroes since they're both kings of Atlantis.
I have little wings on my feet. It's over.
The truth is that Namor was created 2 whole years before Aquaman, and while the 2 underwater heroes have a whole lot of similarities, their personalities are very different. Many fans believe that Namor is actually a hero, but it's a lot more complicated than that. Namor is usually considered to be an anti-hero, and at times even a full-blown villain. Namor has a really bad temper, and his short fuse usually ends up putting him at odds with other heroes. So we think that Namor is the perfect villain for Black Panther 2, since the 2 kings have done their fair share of clashing in the comics. With Namor being the villain, we could see Wakanda and Atlantis go to war with each other, and just the thought of that makes our spider sense tingle. Due to the fact that it doesn't take all too much to tick Namor off, he ended up fighting with Black Panther on a few occasions, and in fact at one point, Namor used a giant wave to cause serious destruction in Wakanda, something that led to an all-out war between the 2 kingdoms. Namor's #1 priority is Atlantis, and he'll do whatever it takes to protect it, which is usually the cause for his clashing with both heroes and villains. We can't wait to see the underwater world of Atlantis come to life, but Marvel has their work cut out for them with the amazing visuals of Atlantis in 2018's Aquaman. That being said, since Wakanda is visually stunning as well, we're sure the MCU's Atlantis will be just as impressive. The thing about Namor is that he ends up playing both sides in the comics. He's a member of the Illuminati, a group of heroes working in secret who at times do questionable things for the greater good, but Namor is also an active member of the Cabal, which is basically the evil version of the Illuminati. It's possible we could see a version of the Cabal in the MCU, with villains coming together as a response to the events of the last few years in the MCU. From alien invasions to the decimation, these villains might join and work in secret to protect their own interests and domains. With the actions of the Avengers putting Atlantis at risk, it'll make sense if Namor does whatever it takes to ensure the safety of his people. When you think about it, Wakanda could be seen as a huge threat. Now that the world knows the truth about the country, some villains might target it. If the Cabal, or a version of it, plays a role in Phase 4, we could see Dr. Doom showing up as well. The ruler of Latveria is actually an original member of the Cabal, and he ends up clashing with Black Panther and the Avengers on a whole bunch of occasions. Like Namor, Dr. Doom is far from being your typical bad guy. Doom is very complex, he's compelling, and many of the things he does are to protect the nation of Latveria, and in some misguided way, the world itself. It's possible that Dr. Doom will assemble his own team of villains. A team that includes Namor following the events of the decimation. These villains could come together after deciding that the Avengers can't be trusted with Earth's safety anymore, and that Doom's team is the best way to truly make the world a better place. Dr. Doom could essentially be an evil version of Nick Fury, as throughout Phase 4 he'll go around recruiting villains for his team, leading up to a clash with the new Avengers at some point. Dr. Doom is an incredible character, and one of the best villains in all of comics. Now that Marvel Studios can use him in the MCU due to the Disney-Fox merger, we hope to see him show up immediately, and we think Black Panther 2 is the perfect movie to introduce him. One of Namor's nicknames is Marvel's first mutant, and this is because he's a human Atlantean mutant hybrid, and when it comes to mutants, Black Panther has a special connection to one very powerful mutant. In the comics, T'Challa has a relationship with Ororo Munroe, aka Storm from the X-Men. The two even get married at some point, and their relationship is, it's complex and interesting, but complex. Seeing Storm show up in Black Panther 2 would be great, since she's a wonderful character, and it could also help to set the X-Men up in the MCU. It's possible that Namor's attack on Wakanda will put all of Africa in danger, something that could result in Storm coming to help T'Challa in the battle against Atlantis. Like in the comics, we could find out T'Challa and Ororo had a relationship when they were younger, and upon reuniting, that old love could have reignited. Besides, Storm is really powerful, and if Black Panther ends up going against both Namor and Dr. Doom, he's gonna need some help, and a mutant that can control the weather will be a great ally in the battle. Now, of course, in the first film, it was made clear that T'Challa's love is Nakia. However, Black Panther ends up having many loves in the comics. And interestingly enough, Nakia herself becomes a villain. In the comics, she's known as Malice, and she's what you call a crazy ex-girlfriend. Malice is obsessed with T'Challa and hunts down any woman he loves. If we're honest, after seeing how creepy Lupita Nyong'o got in the movie Us, we wouldn't mind seeing her as a villain. If Wakanda goes to war with Atlantis, Black Panther is gonna need some upgrades.
Exhibit A, old tech. Functional, but old.
While T'Challa's suit is pretty cool, we hope to see an updated suit in the sequel. Maybe something like the suit he had in the Man Without Fear storyline. Beyond suits and technology, we hope that the sequel will dive into the mythical and magical side of the Black Panther comics. In those comics, Black Panther has some magical powers, and he can actually summon and control the dead. He also mixes magic and technology to create all new weapons that we haven't seen yet in the MCU. Speaking of upgrades, we hope that Shuri will get her own Black Panther suit like in the comics. It's even possible that we'll see Shuri become the Queen of Wakanda by the end of the second movie. Following the events of the recent films, T'Challa might end up being the new leader of the Avengers, and that could cause him to be torn apart between his duties to Wakanda and the rest of the world. It would make sense if T'Challa decides to give up the throne to focus on being the leader of the Avengers, understanding that maybe the best way to keep the people of Wakanda safe is to be a part of the team that keeps the whole world safe. This could result in Shuri taking the Black Panther mantle as well as the throne. All of this means one thing. Black Panther 2 is gonna be amazing. Phase 4 is a new chapter for the MCU. We think that Black Panther 2 could be the perfect start for all of that. Do you think Namor will be the villain of Black Panther 2? If not Namor, then who would you want to see go against Black Panther in the sequel? Let us know in the comments down below. And if you liked the video, we'd appreciate it if you like and subscribe to CBR. Thanks for watching.